Hello, this is Yayoi Komiyama from Brain to Belly, and welcome to the Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV, channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on your respective app stores, iOS and Android devices. And while you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. So welcome. Today I have an amazing coach and guest, my new friend, Coach Ambereen, and I want to welcome her to the show today. We tried a couple of times and we rescheduled and whatever. So today it finally all came together. So I am very happy with that. And it was funny when I just said that, I just got chills. So that just means the
Hmm.
whole universe is telling us this is meant to be. So welcome, Coach.
Under- Thank you so very much for having me. I think it's an honor when I had you on my show too. I learned a lot about simplicity, a lot about complexities of culture and how they kind of take us and tear us apart in directions that we're not even too sure of. So
Yes.
this is going to be a honor, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, we're both, we have the similarities in that we're both immigrants into this country, into the US. So, and we have that kind of Asian culture
Mhm.
background, which I think there's a commonality in that, and then being an immigrant in this country, in North America, which
Mhm.
puts a lot of similarities into our backgrounds, I think. And I know that you emigrated here when you were 10, I think.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of like the opposite of me. I went back to Japan at the age of 11. So
Mhm.
I was here until then. So it was kind of like a switch, but I know the immigrant experience. So tell us a little bit about your experiences and how you um, decided that you wanted to do coaching and what was your mission and what got you to your mission. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think when I think about, and I was actually talking to a friend of mine today about this, I was like, I think this is always in me. Like I haven't intentionally been practicing the coaching per se,
Hmm.
but I've
Yeah.
been doing it for such a long time, and it all stems from this idea of going back to our culture. So my dad is the first son, right? And there are 10 of them. And
Okay.
so when you're the first son in a Asian culture, especially in a Pakistani culture, you, the parents just have big dreams for you. They have
Oh,
big goals. You have to have a lot of responsibility put on yourself in a very young age.
yes.
And because we are the children, of the first son, even though we have cousins older than us, it doesn't
We,
matter. You
we
have
know.
to like gotta level up. So
Yeah.
I think what I understood from that, and my elder sister, so I'm the second of four,
Oh,
four
okay.
girls. My elder sister was kind of in her own world. She was like the authoritarian, like you do this, you do that. Give me the remote, make me that. Like she was that. And so I took on this role of just like role modeling through leadership.
Hmm.
And it started to stem from a very young age when I started to influence my cousins, and
Oh.
there are 30 plus of us,
Hmm.
just first cousins alone,
Oh.
just intentionally. And they would say, like, when you babysit us, it's so different than so and so does it. And so, like, you start to hear a lot of similarities. And so when I left Pakistan, and I was at that time too super like optimistic, just joyful and like living life, having a blast. So what I recognized is I just love to serve.
Wow.
And coaching unfolded as a story of serving, and it literally stemmed from the most unconventional way, I would think. I
Hmm.
received a call from Brendan Bouchard's office.
Oh, okay.
Huge fan, one of my
Hmm.
biggest mentors. This man I will meet one day, and
Yes.
I think he already knows I exist, so that's great.
Oh, yeah.
And so his office called me, and they were like, "Oh, we're actually trying to find people to coach, and we have this program and blah blah blah." And at first, I saw the names. They were Brendan Bouchard. Like Brendan Bouchard is calling me. I'm like, girl, drop everything, pick up. So I pick up, and there's another woman on the other line, and her name is Samantha Neely, a beautiful, amazing, consultant for Brendan, and she was just running his sales team. And I hopped on a call with her, and within 15 minutes, she's like, "Hey, Ambereen, you would be a great coach." And said to her, I remember saying to her, like, "Hey, girl, baby steps. You're trying to enroll me into your program." And so I was like, and this was at this the most beautiful and the most sacred time probably in my life. I was trying to reinvent myself because I had gone through a divorce. I wouldn't even say a year prior to, it was kind of still in the unfoldings when this call
Mhm.
happened a few months after it was finalized. And I had lost all essence of Umbreen, or what I call like Umbergy, which is my
Oh,
energy, which is how I love to serve. And as I lost this, it was such a nice way of redefining it. And it was the first time in my life, Yayoi, that I pulled out a credit card, thought about it for like 15, 20 minutes. I was like, no, I can't do this. This is this. Why am I spending some money on myself? Like, I'm good, I'm healthy, I'm optimistic, I've left, that I've left a lot of stuff behind. I'm so ready to move forward. And it was this voice inside of me, and she said, I know you think you're not worthy of this. If I were to tell you something like, hey, your kiddo needs this service and it will bring these types of changes into them, wouldn't you just do it? And I thought to myself, because that was the first time in my entire life, I'm talking about 30 plus years of my life,
wow.
where I invested monetary in myself.
Wow. Beautiful.
And it was a number that I can't even say out loud. I was like, wait, you're charging me? What?
Believe me, believe me. Just I can imagine. I can
Yes,
imagine.
because I'd never been exposed to the coaching industry.
Yeah. Mhm.
And something in my heart was like, Ambreen, you've talked to this woman for like about an hour and a half already. And then there was another follow-up. And the thing that happened in that was my daughter was home that day. And my daughter is not talking in the background. Now she's talking to the sales representative, Samantha. And they're like hitting it off. And she's like, Ambreen, become a coach. And so she planted a seed. And what I did then is I ran through Brendan Burchard's high performance coaching curriculum.
Mhm.
For about 2 years, I
Wow.
invested in myself.
Mhm.
And Yayoi, I saw the shift in me where I never dipped in my divorce.
Wow.
There was no dip. It was just like a climb up.
Yeah, I
And
know what
you
you mean.
become
Mhm.
aware, you become conscious, you become
Yeah.
connected, you do the things that matter to you, you add
Yes.
joy, you add
Yes.
productivity, you add the right amount of energy. Like the program is legit. So then I thought, well, she already planted the seed in 2021. While I was still working a corporate job, I became a certified high performance coach. And it's because I know it works, I want to pour that in, to actually to families. That's
Yes.
where my people are. My people are families because for me, I began this journey with leadership
Yes.
because I had a huge influence on an unfolding with leaders, and I was like, they get me, I get them, I push them, and they loved it. In corporate
Mhm.
world, they just love the free coaching.
Yeah, of
But
course.
once you're like pay for it, they're like, oh yeah, we don't know about that one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you discover and you learn. And so what I started to do, I went back to that basic thing of like just the pen to paper. I was like,
Mhm.
yo, God, like what's going down? Like all these people, hundreds of people know me. They speak such highly of me. They've said it to me. They've said to other people, the CEOs, the presidents. What is going on? And
Mhm.
the realization was, you're not meant to coach leaders. You're meant to coach parents who are leaders of their homes.
Yes, yes, yes.
However, most of us aren't intentionally leading.
Yeah,
It's
I love that. Yeah.
And so that's where the
But
sweet spot of, parenting and coaching came into being. And I think the way that I'm doing it, I haven't really heard anybody else do it, where
mhm.
it's mandatory now for both partners, or I like to say companions, both,
Mhm.
the mom and the dad, the husband,
Oh,
the
yeah.
wife, the mom and the mom, whatever that
Yeah.
dynamic is
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
for both of them to go on that journey
Of
with me.
course.
So that way they can both elevate together and build that harmony, connection, love. And this essence of this is what truly matters in the home.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, I love that. I mean, we are all leaders of our own, um, I don't know, our own worlds, right? Our own bodies,
Mhm.
our own spirits, souls, whatever. And I love that you're saying that the families, the parents, whatever, mom and dad or whatever, the two parents can work together to create that synergy of leading together so that the whole family grows,
Mhm.
into, and it's like that. it's almost like the triangle, the pillar, because they are going to be the pillars that lead the kids.
Mhm.
And I love that, because leading is really what we need to do. And it's really about owning up, isn't it? Owning up your power, revealing in your own power and your essence. And I see that in you all the time. Whenever I talk to you, I see your essence, and I could feel your essence. And it's very contagious, which is great. It's a good contagion. And I love that because I could see how in your coaching you can your energy is infectious, that people will get that energy and say, okay, I can do this. They can feel that I can do this. And with you coaching them and guiding them, I think families can find that harmony.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I love the fact that your show, I know you have a show here on the Spanglish World Network, just like I do, and and called Lead with Intentions. And that's really, I love that title because, when we're intent and when we have that consciousness. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, tell me a little bit more about how I know that you said that coaching kind of came to you from through after your divorce or while you were going through the divorce and all this and that. But I think I was reading about how you emigrated here when you were 10 with your family, and at 18 you had a really serious incident happen to you,
Mhm.
and that changed a lot of the direction that you thought in. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that shift occurred and what shift occurred?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for your generosity and your kind words. I really appreciate them and I reciprocate them right back to you and everybody else who's listening. There is so much greatness and goodness within ourselves that we often don't cherish. So start to celebrate yourself a little bit more, folks who are listening. As for what happened to me, so I've always been somebody who's, so to speak, a trailblazer. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was the one calling up my uncle to say, "Hey, why does my aunt always have to cook for you?" Like, why does she have to do it?
I love.
Or like, why does she have to do your laundry for you? It's literally grab, toss, start. Like, it's not like we're in Pakistan hand washing clothes anymore, right? And so I've always been challenging the culture element of it because our culture, the Pakistani culture, is so different from the religion of Islam. They're just like almost opposite in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd always been somebody who knew life to be, a beautiful journey. But I think sometimes God sends us these huge incidents that happen
Yes.
that really just solidify like your existence.
Yes.
So I was 18 years old and I was the youngest in our, probably in our whole khandan, or what we call it, like extended family of like
Mm-hmm.
300 people to get my license. I was literally 16 when I got my license. And
Wow.
against my dad. My dad was like someone who would like keep me in the house for 35 without a license. He was that type of man, right?
Yeah, I know
And
that.
I got the license and, he wouldn't let me drive as much as I wanted to or needed to. And one day it was like I showed up at my uncle's house with my dad. We had to go to a party. And so my grandfather, was coming back with me and my dad had to go run some errand before the party. And it was a pretty long drive, so to speak, 35 plus minutes. My
Okay.
dad was very specific, no highways, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, like, got it, dad. So my grandfather was sitting next to me, and he's one of those people who's really impacted me because of the way that he's led his life, the
Yes.
changes that he's made. And when you hear his story, it's profound. And he's like a linchpin. He's
Mm-hmm.
literally a linchpin. So he's sitting next to me, and he knows exactly where to go. And this man is kind of nearing blindness, but he just knows.
Wow.
So I miss a turn. And I'm like, oh, I missed it. And he goes, yeah, you have to kind of take like this dodge, like this little side, street. And then I was like, oh, it's fine. Can I just make the next right turn? He goes, yeah. And then we're going to have to make a left. Now, as I'm making this left turn, something in my heart is like, oh, it's like a little hilly. And that thought comes. And I make a left turn. Like I see nobody. All of a sudden, I'm in my Honda Accord. There's a 4x4 Ford Expedition
Oh my
coming
God.
my way. And I was like, it's gonna be a head on. So I swerve. right. The woman tries to save it, and she swerves left, and
Oh gosh.
boom, we literally hit each other. She hits me on my side,
Oh gosh.
and so it's literally like this. Okay, I'm right over here where the tip is hitting, and I hear my grandfather screaming, "Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar," which basically means God is great, God is great. And in that instant, I don't know, I'm 120% sure I became unconscious. And then my head came back up, I saw to my right that my grandfather is just like, he's screaming and his belt is just locked.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to open, so I get into the back seat and try to open the door. The door won't open because right next to the door is the mailbox.
Oh gosh.
Talk about epic planning by God, right? You have no cell phone at that time. The woman is screaming at me, like, "What is wrong with you? Wow, where were you looking? I have two kids in the car, and what were you doing?" And I was like, you know what? I get it, woman. Because I have cousins, I've
Yeah.
babysat enough people to know the value of these little humans, and as
Yeah.
parents, we want to protect them. And she's getting angry because her airbags flew open, her kids are there. Now I'm literally running out the car, stopping random people to ask for their phone. And as the journey unfolded, my grandfather literally couldn't come out. So the ambulance came and they had to cut the mailbox,
Right.
open the door, and he was unconscious.
Oh
He
gosh.
became unconscious. And in this point in time, I'm 18 years old. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? So now I call my mom and dad. And I'm like, Mom, I'm on these streets. I got into an accident. And she's like, sweetheart, those streets, they don't ever connect. And it's like, Ma, I'm standing in front of it. And like now she's like, okay, she can hear my worry and my agony because she doesn't know what's going on with my
Right.
grandfather. And I asked the man, like, are these two the streets? And he goes, yeah, they are. And so I'm like, Ma, and she goes, okay, you know what? It's okay, I'll be there. And what I don't know in the background, my mom called the police department and she's like, there's an accident near here. Give me the exact location. There was no GPS back then. Exact location, we got to get there. And like the small, tiny streets. So my mom texts my dad, and my mom is like the figure outer, the works really great in pressure, like one of my biggest influences and impactors in my life. Like I aspire to be like her. And so she is doing stuff in the background, and all I'm seeing is like ambulances everywhere, cops everywhere. It was literally like a movie scene, Yayoi.
Oh wow.
So what I found out later was there were 5 ways of getting in. They blocked every single way, so nobody could get in. It was that bad of an accident.
Wow.
And you don't know what you don't know, right? Because
Right.
all you're in is like in your head right now. I hope grandpa's okay.
Yep.
I ruined my mom and dad's car,
Yep.
and I'm never gonna drive in my life again, right? So all that is going on.
Oh my gosh.
And when my grandfather was taken away, and apparently while he was in the ambulance, he was just screaming like Ambar, 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 and that's what he calls me, right? The short form of Ambereen. And so then my mom and dad came. My mom was in the ambulance with him, and they're like, "Who is this Amber?" It goes, "It's his granddaughter." And now he's taken to the hospital. He's unconscious. Don't know what's going on. And my mom is there with him. I come back home with my dad, and I literally pull out my prayer rug. I'm just sitting there like, yo, God, have mercy on me. Take
Yeah.
care of my grandfather. Please look after him. And I didn't know the severity of what had happened
Yeah.
until my very blunt uncle shows up in my house, and he's like, oh, where is she? Oh, where is she? But I was like, oh, she's right here. He's like, what are you praying for? You know that he has an internal bleeding. He's unconscious. He's got this and this. He goes, he might die. And I can still feel it when I say that. I can still feel it where my heart sank, and I was like, I can't be the reason for his death. I can't live with myself because
Yeah.
he impacts thousands of people on a year-to-year basis, probably millions of people in his life. So back to the rug, back to crying, back to surrendering and asking God. And what I realized in that folding was nothing happened to me, not a scratch. The man has internal bleeding. The car hit me from my side.
Yeah.
He's got internal bleeding. He can die. The woman has challenges. Her kids went through stuff. And nothing happened to me. And so that message is very evident that you're destined for more.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
And I from then on, I kind of started to just add a lot of consciousness and awareness of God and spirituality into my life, even more
Yeah.
so, like an elevated level.
Right.
When I went to go see my grandfather was getting mad at my mom and my dad. They were like, "Where is she?" And they're like, "She's totally fine." He goes, "Don't you dare lie to me. I know she's dead." He said, "I saw the car coming.
Yeah.
I know she's dead.
Oh
You're
my,
all lying to me.
oh my
You
gosh.
tell me the truth." And they're like, "No, Dad, she's totally fine." He's probably like thinking, "Okay, I'm not that old. I'm not that dumb. I'm a pretty wise guy. Like, what do you say?" And when I went back to retrace my steps, in Islamic teaching,
Mm-hmm.
prayers and intentionality is a huge way of worshiping.
Yes.
So when we leave the house, we pray,
Mm-hmm.
right? When we come into the house, we greet.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a special prayer that literally, if you read it 3 times, it literally says that God is protecting you.
Mm.
Right? The first time was my dad and I left. Second time we went somewhere, I stopped over with my dad. Second time,
Right.
third time with my grandfather.
Yeah.
And I honestly, to this day, believe I was reading that specific prayer 3 times where God was watching over me.
Yeah.
So when I went to go see my grandpa later in the day, he was crying and he goes, "So what if I die? I live to see all of you." He got healthy and well, back to his amazing, wonderful self. The internal bleeding stopped after 2 days. He is like, this man has a willpower like I've never seen in my life before, right? He comes back from like comas and strokes. That's the kind of man, who sat next to me.
Right.
However, we don't know the power within and we don't know how life unfolds,
Yes.
you know, until we go through these drastic moments in our life. And, I think since
True.
then, life kind of ramped up a lot.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah, definitely you were protected. And it's true. I mean, we don't, sometimes life throws these things at us so that we come to the realization because sometimes we're not aware.
Mhm.
And it's like, that term, you have to be hit with a sledgehammer to kind of realize things. And that's kind of me too. So I totally get what you're saying that sometimes you need those kind of like wake up calls to kind of tell us, you are magnificent in who you are and to cherish that and to that this is the mission in your life. And gosh, what a way to figure out your mission in life and to come to that realization. But I'm glad that everything turned out okay.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, and that really is the divine power that
Mhm.
protected you to get you to where you are now. And it's funny because you kind of know that you're always protected after that, after something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's that feeling inside you, and I think you have this too. I know that I'm always protected.
Mhm.
Ever since I was a little girl, I knew I was always protected, that someone was always watching over me. And I would always say, "Oh, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay." Even sometimes, even if I were like in really dire situations, I'm like, "It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Things will work out." And I think it's that thinking and that faith that
Yeah.
is so important. And I love how faith is, even in your culture, it's so important. It's such an integral part of who you are. And I
Mhm.
think we in a society forget that part of ourselves a lot because sometimes it just becomes routine.
Yeah.
And like that's why your lead with intentions, that's part of that intention part, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, a lead with intentions was literally, um, there have been many times in my life where God serves up things, people say on a silver platter. I like to say on a gold platter, right? It's so elevated that all you have to do is like just pick that,
Yeah.
and there's no decision to make. It's just like one thing, just pick it, and that's it. And so, it was one of those things where God literally put, Eduardo in my life, and the way that he just was,
Yeah.
the person that he showed up as, and just like that, this calm, chill demeanor where I'm like, am I complicating it? Is it really that simple? He's like, yeah, just I'm just thinking and blah blah. And when that idea kind of just came right off the top of just being a guest on a
Mhm.
different show,
Yeah.
and it was beautiful because I had told myself to start creating like a podcast, and it was like God's way of saying, why would you do all the struggles of a podcast when you could just podcast, right? I was like, and I did, and I led with my heart, and what lead with intentions kind of became wasn't that name actually got changed
Oh.
2 weeks
Mhm.
before I went live.
Oh.
I was gonna see it was you'll still probably see it in like some of the social media posts. It was supposed to lead with purpose,
Ah.
and I thought, and same thing again, back to that pen and paper,
Mhm.
like yo Malik, like what's going on? Is this the right name? Something isn't right. And what I understood is like purpose is used already heavily enough, you know.
Mm. Mhm.
However, some people don't may not know their purpose right now, but
Yeah.
they're living really intentional lives.
Yes.
So how can I show that greatness, you really tap into greatness when you just become more intentional,
Yeah.
The way you talk to your kids, the way you see your partner or your spouse, the way that you greet the stranger, the way that you communicate with your team. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Intentionality is it's like a moment to moment thing,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really being involved in it, you know, and having your spirit and your heart into that action. And I think that's what is really important about that. And I love that because when we do live that way, and you know this as well, you know, everything just aligns. Your energies align, you align with your purpose, and everything just flows into you and flows
Mhm.
out of you as well. And just as I'm saying that, I'm getting all these chills. Oh my gosh, I know, I know, I know. I'm like up there saying, okay, yes, I know. And it's just amazing how everything, just with one small shift here, that
Mhm.
awareness piece or that intention piece can create so much magic for anyone if they so choose. And I just love that. I've always wondered, I'm kind of shifting a little bit because the butterfly behind you is kind of calling out to me. So I know that you love butterflies, and that's kind of like your symbol there. And could you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about that? I think our viewers are curious as well as me.
Definitely, yeah, I love me my butterflies, I do. Actually, it was this funky thing that happened one time. Somebody at work sent me like a link to be like, "Which animal are you most like?" And I was like, "Oh, I never do these types of things." That day, it was like 75 plus questions. I was like, "Bro, give me my animal already! Like, what is happening?" And you just kept like clicking and clicking and clicking, and ultimately, it was a butterfly,
Okay.
and I was like, "Butterfly?" And I've always been fascinated by butterflies, the way they look, the
Mm-hmm.
colors, the vibrancy, the complexities, the difficulties, the fact that they have to kind of cage themselves, right, in
Yes.
a cocoon
Yes.
and then break free. And it's
Yes.
like, and then, Maya Angelou talks about this all the time, where she's like, we are so mesmerized by the beauty of the butterfly, but when do we really ponder as to how much work it had to go through, right, to serve its
Yeah.
beauty?
Yeah.
And the great thing about the butterfly wings is the way the sunlight hits it and the energy hits it, the colors change. It's
Yes.
like, and like, who doesn't look at a butterfly and like doesn't want to chase it? Like as kids, they do it all the time. And so the butterfly became a symbol of transformation, of inner work,
Yeah.
of breaking free,
Yeah.
of the ripple effect, right?
Yes.
That butterfly is this ripple effect that keeps giving. So when I was creating, and I kind of started to create my own content, my own everything that you see around me, it's my own.
Mm-hmm.
I went through several iterations of my logo of these butterflies, and I got my family involved. Like, yo, vote on this stuff, and they're like, what? I'm like, which one is the logo that looks most like me? Which colors? And blah, blah, blah. And I've always been fascinated by this color, turquoise.
Yeah.
Always, like it's a
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like, and every time I wear turquoise, every time Yayoi, I get compliments. They're like,
It suits you. It suits you. Yeah.
I'll take it, you know? But
Yeah.
what you don't understand in that time is like how these like you said, those channels are coming into
Yeah.
us and the story will just align and kind of build
Yeah.
itself up as we get into flow.
Yes.
So the butterfly, the way that I've, in my logo that I've done is like the big butterfly behind me is that one person I'm working with and coaching, the transformation that they're going through, the elevation they're going through, and then the little like the stuff that you see in the
Yep.
top is like
Yep.
the ripple
Full
effect of
effect.
the work that they
Wow.
have done to bring the positive change that they may not see. And the thing is, the butterflies, they just keep going. There's no end to them, which
Mm-hmm.
signifies you don't know who you're influencing, how you're impacting when you're doing your own inner work,
Yeah.
as parents, as leaders, as
Yes.
intentional human beings on this planet.
Yes, that is so beautiful, and it's so I love that. I love that, and I love, what you said about butterflies, that they really have a lot of hard work. I mean, when you look at a cocoon, you don't expect it to be this beautiful thing that comes out of it. And I remember
Hmm.
as a kid, I was fascinated with the cocoons.
Hmm.
And of course, as a kid, you kind of want to poke at it and see what comes, and you try to pull it apart. And I'm sorry to the butterflies that I did that to, the future butterflies. I did that too. But, I was a curious kid.
Hmm.
And, but I was always fascinated at how they stay in this, and it's like a human as well. We stay in the womb for 9 months, right? Where that's like our cocoon. And then we're birthed. And that's kind of the same way that a butterfly comes out of its cocoon too, because just coming out of the human body, it's,
Hmm.
it sounds like this modern day, we think it's an easy process, but it's not. It's
Hmm.
very taxing for both the mother. It's joy, but it's also it's a traumatic change in the body.
Hmm.
And and then you birth this beautiful being. And that's the
Mhm.
same with a butterfly coming out of a cocoon. I don't know. All of a sudden that image just kept popped into my head, so I just kind of voiced it. But yeah, I think that's, and the transformation that you see in people is just amazing when they get that click, that when that it's just a simple small thing that
Mhm.
as coaches we get to kind of like try to help them find. And it's
Mhm.
like it's like the key that unlocks everything for them.
Mhm.
And the joy that comes out from the birth of the butterfly. Yeah, it's so
Mhm.
beautiful. Yeah.
And I
Wow.
think as
Wow.
often as coaches, we see people beyond this space and time and in
Mm-hmm.
this moment right now. And I think one of the biggest jobs that I love to do as a coach is just have to champion and channel that and show them there's so much more greatness out there for you not tapping into. And so today I was on a call and I was talking to this woman and she's like, I don't know what I want to do. I never thought, oh, I want to do this. I didn't know if TikTok was the right thing. And she's like just talking and talking. I think I have to, Ambereen, I really need your help to like re envision what I see for myself. And honest to God, 20 minutes in, we have her platform, her brand new platform understood. We have her mission. We have her handle, title, branding done. We have the colors. We've got a program. We've got a top the services. We've got her like charges. We've got like how often do you meet? What are you talking about? The whole thing. And she's like,
Woohoo.
wait, what? And then she said, it was so cute. She goes, where do I pay you?
But when you're in the flow, like you said, it just comes like that. And that's such a beautiful thing. And I love your smile there, because that's, as a coach, that's the joy that we get. We are, we're blessed that we can see that joy and share that joy with other human beings,
Mhm.
because it's something that is so special. And, I love being a coach too, because it's just one way that we can see joy in other people and show them that there's so much more within
Mhm.
that can be done. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
It's just
love
that
the I love
building that
that.
momentum, right? That one
Mm-hmm.
action on top of the other,
Yes.
leading with intentions, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, this week, what I realized on Monday, there was a moment in time, and I know exactly what time I was like irritated with my son. I'm like, bro, you have all these cool shoes. Why are you wearing Crocs to school? Like, what's going down? And it made me so like, and I was frustrated at him. And then when I went back to create content and understand that frustration, it stemmed from somebody in my past who loved to get things as gifts or ask for things, and then they would just keep them locked up for days, months, years, decades. And you're like, the perfume has lost its scent. It is dead. Please toss it. And so in my mind, it wasn't just my son now wearing the shoes that he has, which he has plenty of,
Right.
and not shifting from the Crocs. It was this longer and bigger thing.
Yeah.
And so it was all like within. So was I, and I asked myself, what are you gonna do differently, Ambereen? And the answer was very simple. You know what? I'm just gonna ask him the right question, like, hey bud, what's the right shoe? So it doesn't complement your outfit. I tried it and it works. He's all game. He's like, yeah, now I get to match my shoes with my outfit, see what looks cute. And like he will ask me, hey ma. And then I'll kind of throw it back at him. Hey ma, I was thinking these ones. And I was like, oh yeah, that like that blue, that wolf that you have on it, that is gonna complement that shoe. It's gonna spice it all up. So now we really shifted from this like I'm irritated, Crocs, I want to hide you, to now saying, oh wow, we have a plan. And it's, I think as parents, it's like these simple shifts that we
Yes.
don't make because we don't normally have a choice to make them. I don't think that as parents we intentionally do bad or make it
Yeah.
harder for our kids or ourselves. I think we just don't have the tool to say, okay, there's a deeper thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I irritated my son's not wearing shoes per se and he's all these shoes in outgrow? What's the thing? And I was like, oh, it's that thing. Okay, what am I gonna do? Let's
Yeah.
take a pause. And the celebration, like it's a thing now. We celebrate the shoe. And
Of
so
course.
of course every day he's busting out with like the right pair of shoes to complement his outfit. And I think, it's as parents, if I could share one thing, it's like in that moment, don't take it so personal.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's
No.
hardly ever about you, but it is all within you, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of,
Yep.
it's
It's
very
so true.
different the way that we
Yeah.
think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's totally the ripple effect, though. I mean, just by changing the shoe, he's starting off his day in this really empowered, celebratory way, in his own power.
Mhm.
And that you can, as a mother, that you were able to send him off to school in that way is the most beautiful thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And
We do.
that's so beautiful.
We do
Thank
a
you.
lot of stuff. We do. We have a whole ritual before they get on that school bus,
That's
to make
beautiful.
sure that mom's already been in their ears. And sometimes you get a lot of like, oh, God, what is this? And you're like, right, like, mom's not gonna let you go.
Yeah.
So just do it.
Yeah.
And so it's literally a simple practice with just three questions and one answer,
Yeah.
one word or one sentence answers that they have to do as
Yeah.
they part ways. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So, parents out there that's listening to this, think on that. That is an intention piece that you might want to consider. Yeah, and
Mm.
see, I mean, look at the ripple effect that it caused. The ripple, it's such a beautiful ripple. And to know that you can start that with your child, it's such a beautiful thing that you can offer your child and your
Mhm.
family. Yeah. Well,
And
hmm
it starts to kind of also like, and then of course we can go into the next question is when he is feeling more joy, when he is
yes,
feeling more confident, when he is feeling like, oh yeah, I put some thought and I can
hmm
celebrate this. His energy, his
yes,
frequency has
yes,
completely shifted.
yes,
And now every interaction will feel that. They may not say like, "Hey, bro, like you're elevated today." they'll just be happier. They'll just be kinder. They'll just be
Yes.
nicer. And
Yes.
it's all this simple shift of the quantum field kind of exists within us. And we're shifting that field,
Yes.
and the ripple effect becomes even bigger, a
Bigger.
bigger impact
Oh,
than
yeah.
that minor one that he may have just like, said hi, hello to somebody.
Yeah. No, I love that. And we tend to forget, as when we're living caught up in daily life, we tend to forget that we have such an impact. Like just one smile, can make a huge difference on someone. Just saying good morning to someone, when you're on your morning walk or you're on your way to work or whatever. Maybe nobody said good morning to that person
Yeah.
all day, and or just a smile that you show them can light up
Mm-hmm.
their day and saying, oh, this day isn't so bad. It could be
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And that'll translate, like you said, it'll create a ripple effect so that that person, when that person sees someone else and says, good morning, you know, and just
Mm-hmm.
that joy in the voice can just trigger something that will create more happiness. And it's a simple thing, but it's hard to do. Is like I know my
It's
mentor.
intention, right?
Yeah, it's
It literally goes
intention.
back to that U-turn of,
Yeah.
it's very intentional, right?
Mhm.
Um, and
Yeah.
I really think when we don't live our life intentionally, we don't create the life we're meant to live.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And there's so much potential in all of us. And I think that, it I love the fact that on our shows that we can remind people that there is so much potential within you, within each of us, that we forget that we have that. And I hope that, by just listening to this, people can feel inspired to go further and to pursue their potentials. Because, I mean, we as human beings were put on this earth to serve. I believe that's my, belief that we're here to serve others. Yeah. And, whatever I can do to create joy in another person or help them create that joy within them so that that can ripple out is, to me, that's just, I would be happy as a pig in poop. I don't know if
Mhm.
I don't know if somebody said, what? I said that to sometimes and somebody said, what? I've never heard that expression
Mhm.
before, pig in poop, but you know what?
Authenticity, you gotta embrace it, you gotta love it. And I think even that you should celebrate, because you're saying something people are like, bizarre.
Yeah,
Yeah, you are bizarre. Okay, do you know what you're saying? I like, is your brain connected right now?
that's me. That's
And
me.
every single one of you who has tuned in thus far and has listened and given us the most beautiful commodity, which is your time. I
Yes.
really want to tell you that I feel honored and I'm so grateful. I would love for every single one of you to just one thing to celebrate every day about you that
Yes.
you did.
Yes.
Just one. Write it down or reflect on it or say it to somebody as a
Yes.
family. Hey, I am so happy I took out these really cute earrings today and I just wore them. Girl, look at you thinking about so whatever. I am so happy that I did this. One thing that just celebrates your efforts, not something else
Yeah.
someone else did for you. You did for somebody else or for yourself. And life starts to get more elevated. Your
Yeah.
energy starts to rise and you start to realize, yeah, you're always talking about potential, which many of you are like, yeah, whatever, girl, you're a coach, potential. But it's this essence of when you celebrate yourself a little bit,
Mhm.
you start to see that there's more to
Oh,
life.
yeah. So much more. And I love that. And you had mentioned earlier several times that you write it down, paper and pencil, and or paper and pen, whatever. But you write it down, and the action of doing that is so important. It's a lost art at this point, but I feel like we need to all do that. And I know that, I have a journal that I do my gratitude journal in every day, every night before I go to sleep, no matter how tired I am. I've fallen
Mhm.
asleep with my pen marks going like this. Yeah. Well, I've been writing, but it doesn't matter. It's the intention of doing that and to reflect on your day and say, this was the joy. So I love the fact that you're writing it, and what you write, you invite, as my mentor would say.
Mm,
And it's true. When you write it, you're manifesting it, you're creating and magnetizing it to you, and you're magnetizing the joy to you. And I love how you mentioned that. Um, so we're going to have to close up, which is sad because I want to continue talking, and there's so many more questions I have for you, but we're going to have to wrap up a little bit. So, Coach Ambereen, what would be one piece of advice that you would like to leave our viewers with
mm.
today?
I would say be present in the moment.
Ah, that is beautiful.
Uh, yeah, I think life will pass you by
Well,
if you don't show up for this very moment, right? Like right now, Yayoi's head is nodding, her eyes are lifting. She's got her two fingers on her chin, like her. You can see her headphones. I can see some of that the hair that's just flowing freely. There's that smile. There's so much to embrace in this very moment. However, if my mind, if my thoughts are somewhere else, it'll all just pass by, and at the end of my life, I have nothing. I have no memories because I wasn't present for these moments that are supposed to fuel me, to become stronger, wiser, and to serve at a higher level.
yeah. Yeah, thank you. That's so beautiful to be present in the moment because yeah, life gets in the way sometimes, and that's the whole intention piece. It's just take a breath and just feel and see and observe what is around you.
Hmm.
And it could be, something so beautiful that you didn't realize. Yeah. So, wow, Coach, thank you so much. And I'd like to welcome you back again because I want to continue our conversation. That's the because
Be my honor.
I love these conversations that we can have, and I hope that our viewers who are listening can find some information, some golden nugget that they can use. And if you're so inspired, reach out to us, please, and see what we can do to help you see your full potential.
Hmm.
And I was just looking at our screens, and you're in the turquoise blue, and I'm in that purple field, and it kind of like matches, We're like it's a good energy that's here,
Hmm.
and see that moment, see these moments that are that are going to really inspire you. So, um, wow, I just want to say thank you for being here today. It's just such a joy to always have you. And I'm so blessed that I got to be on the Spanglish World Network with you and thank you, Eduardo, for putting us together. Because if it weren't for the WhatsApp group, I wouldn't have known about you. And I'm blessed that I can meet you and talk to you and learn from you as well. And I'm sure that our viewers feel that way. So if our viewers want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm Coach and Brain across every social media platform. My sweet spot is LinkedIn. So that's where I really like to channel a lot of my energy and my efforts, because I think I do want to work with individuals who are high performers and who want to live life a little more intentionally. So reach out, Coach and Brain, coachandbrain.com as well. It's all over the place.
Okay, thank you, Coach Abri. And so this show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was truly